Hey everybody, and welcome to Comics from the Future. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our big show where we go over some of the biggest and best books that are up for order this week. So you don't want to miss out on any of this good stuff. So when you go to your store or you get your stuff in the mail, you didn't miss out on any of these awesome books that we're going to be talking about. It's kind of a light week for DC. Like they don't have any big number ones or anything. But when we get to like cool covers and stuff, they do have a lot to show right there.
I mean, they still have some really good books, just no like big beginnings of anything.
Yeah, I think we're kind of the way that this order is falling. This is kind of pre-summer boom of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see a lot of the big stuff when we start getting into like the May books and everything.
Yeah.
But let's get into this, starting with our featured comics.
Starting with Ghost Rider Final Vengeance #1. So this is a new Ghost Rider. I don't know if this is a miniseries or an ongoing.
I'm not sure, given the nature of this Ghost Rider.
Yeah, so it's a new Ghost Rider series written by Ben Percy. The art is by Danny Kim. And it's a new Ghost Rider series because it's a new Ghost Rider. Now, the solicitation says, who is the new Spirit of Vengeance and what will it mean for the Marvel Universe? And that's all the information they give. And we talked about this on Wednesday. I gave you guys a couple days lead time, but it's not a spoiler to tell you who the new Ghost Rider is because there's articles about it. Like it is Marvel themselves released an article on their website talking all about it. So the new Ghost Rider, and if you don't want to know, like maybe mute for a minute or so, but the new Ghost Rider is actually the Hood. So the new Ghost Rider is going to be a bad guy, and he's going to be armed with a demonic cloak and dark mystical abilities, and there's going to be no stopping his bloody takeover of the criminal underworld. It said that he wanted a taste of the big time, so he made a deal with the devil to be able to do it. I'm not caught up on the current Ghost Rider book, so I'm not really sure what's going on with Johnny Blaze right now. But it also mentions that Johnny Blaze may not be able to sort of crawl his way out of hell to regain possession of the Ghost Rider, of the Spirit of Vengeance, before it's too late. So, I don't know how it's all going to come about.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's been any hints in the new Ghost Rider, or in the current Ghost Rider book so far, but the Hood is going to be your new Ghost Rider, at least for a little while.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that maybe, even if this isn't just like a mini-series, it still feels like they're kind of setting it up of like a bad Ghost Rider, and then maybe somebody will have to come and like take that from him and become like the new good Ghost Rider. I don't know, but I think it sounds really cool. I've only read some stuff with the Hood, so it's like, okay, this is fine. This is not a character that has a whole lot of baggage to bring with them.
Yeah, if they had even said a villain is going to be the new Ghost Rider, I never would have picked the Hood. No, because he doesn't show up all that often. He's not always in your face, but should be interesting. So don't miss out if that sounds good to you. We have our A cover right here. We have a Bensu foil variant. There is a Chad Hardin variant. There is a Greg Capullo variant. Holy cow. I love Greg Capullo doing anything, really. There is a Mark Teixeira variant. Get some 90s Ghost Rider in there, although that's Johnny Blaze, but he was a big Ghost Rider artist in the 90s. And then, that's it. That's all for Ghost Rider.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, on these covers, you're not seeing, it talks about he's got his cloak and stuff. None of these have a cloak or anything like that, so I wonder if there really is going to be another Ghost Rider going up against, because like here, that looks like two different Ghost Riders.
Yeah, the article on the Marvel.com actually does have a picture of the Hood, and he's got the red cloak, and it's actually cool because he's got his two guns, but when you put them together, the end of the gun is a skull.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But when you split apart, it's like just half. One gun is just half, and you put them together, and it's the whole face. It looks really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to just see what is this.
Yeah, what is this? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Cobra Commander #2. So, we're breaking the rules a little bit. Usually this part of the show is all #1s, but you can't fight how big of a deal this series is and all of the Energon Universe stuff. So we wanted to feature Cobra Commander #2, and I'm very excited about this one. We saw in the first issue where Cobra Commander sans Cobra.
Right. The Cobra-less Cobra Commander. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is on his quest to get Energon to help his people. I'll say that if you haven't read it yet, there's still a lot of cool stuff that happens in that. And he's going to be going to some interesting places. In this one, of course, you see on the cover there that it looks like he is going to be meeting up with the Dreadnoks. And what's cool about that is, since this is pre-Cobra, they're not part of an organization. What it
Right.
sounds like, and at least for this and the next issue, it's going to be basically how does Cobra Commander come into this group that's already formed
Yeah, because the
and take
Dreadnoughts are
over
together
it.
already.
Yeah, they're already together, and by the end of it, he's going to be leading them
Yeah,
and
I want to.
kind
I
of
want to know
taking
that.
them
Yeah.
into his kind of ruling.
Yeah.
So that's another one of the cool things. It's just like, how is Cobra Commander going to use his like manipulative powers? Because he's not the like hand-to-hand fighter. He doesn't use too many weapons, but he's a smooth talker and
Mhm.
everything. That's going to be super cool to see. So you see we got Buzzer on the cover. Just I can't wait for this. The third issue looks like it's going to be bring in another pretty wild character from the GI Joe history. So if you haven't picked up the issue number 1, we'll go over it here in a second, but you're going to have a chance to get a copy of it. So this is our A cover.
Uh-huh.
And then we have the Ortiz variant, which
That
is
looks
really,
really
cool. Like
cool.
him in the swamp,
Yeah.
sneaking up on him. And then we also have Cobra Commander number 1. We're getting some second printings of them. So if you missed out on that first printing, you're going to be able to grab them. Or you just want these really awesome covers by Jason Howard.
We're breaking the comics from the future rules too, because we have a whole section for second
Yeah.
prints later. But again, Cobra Commander has been so big, we wanted to let you know immediately
Yeah.
that number 2 is coming out, second print of number 1's coming out.
Yeah, and I'm so excited to find out like what's next for all of these characters. We haven't read Duke number 2 yet, but that's coming out
Next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
Just so exciting. So there's that one. There's also the Jason Howard cover with Globulus. Did I say that right? I always miss a
I think it's Globulus.
I thought it was Globulus.
Oh, I don't.
It's.
I've always said Globulus since the movie in
Yeah.
'87, but I was a kid back
But
then.
this
I
is
didn't
cool
know.
because he was kind of shrouded in the issue, and now
Yeah.
you kind of see him all here. And then we also have this Jason Howard cover, which was initially kind of a teaser image they put out for the series.
Yeah,
about,
we've seen
like,
this before.
What's G.I. Joe going to look like and what's Cobra going to look like. And so you see kind of an interesting take here with what team he's putting together.
Yeah. Next is Spawn number 350. Again, not a number 1, but a big sort of landmark issue for Spawn. They say it's a story that's 32 years in the making. Who will sit on the vacant throne of hell? We have a poll about that on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So you can go and vote for who you think it was going to be, whether it's going to be Spawn or maybe She-Spawn or Violator or somebody else.
Yeah, and it says maybe even there's someone from the shadows that
Yeah.
can take it.
Yeah, but is anybody worthy enough to claim the power of the throne? And it says the aftermath will continue into all 4 current Spawn titles. Spawn, I buy every single Spawn book, King Spawn, Spawn, Gunslinger, like all of it, every time it comes out. I have a huge stack of Spawn books and I've never read any of them, but I want to. So I don't really know what's going on with Spawn right now, but I literally have an entire short box full of Spawn books from around 300 all the way through everything that's coming out now.
It's just fun though, just to get a new issue of Spawn, even if you haven't read it yet. It just feels like this is such a lineage of it's cool. It's still Spawn.
And it's almost every week like you get a different Spawn book and they're $3. I mean, like it's great. Like and the art, like I've looked through some of them, the art looks great. Like I'm like, why am I not reading these? I really need to devote some time to get caught up. But yes, the giant record breaking, I should say, because it says it on the cover, record breaking 350th issue on FOC this weekend. A little choked up there. So this is our
really emotional.
It is, yeah.
350
issues of Spawn, 32 years. That's a good chunk of my life. So we have our A cover here by Puppeteer Lee. There is a Todd McFarlane cover. There's a Ryan Stegman cover. Ryan Stegman can do no wrong in my eyes. There's a Brett Booth cover who is taking over as your interior artist beginning with this issue. I love Brett Booth's work, so that should be really cool. Jonathan Glapion, and then there is a Todd McFarlane black and white variant.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Women of Marvel. This is our, I guess, Women of Marvel 2024 issue. They've been doing these every year. But this one's really cool for a couple of reasons. One, you've got, of course, what these are. This is female creators telling stories about the biggest characters, the biggest female characters in Marvel. And it's a great showcase of just some of their top talent working on some of these characters in very kind of standalone-ish stories. So you can see on the cover here some of the characters we're going to be getting. Medusa, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, Kamala Khan, Psylocke, Jackpot. It doesn't really say in the solicitation like which all characters we're going to get.
Right.
But, you know, because I just love this, the kind of nerdy behind the scenes stuff is that we know Gail Simone, who has been away from Marvel for quite a while, is coming in to write a story. There's a lot of rumors about who may be taking on some of the big X-Men properties. Like you see Storm on the cover there. Would be a great team leader for a new X-Men book.
And we are not saying that Gail Simone's doing it.
No.
We don't know. We're just guessing.
But I'm just happy to see Gail Simone writing at Marvel.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be awesome. She's written Secret Six at DC, which is one of my favorite series of all time. So, yeah, not saying for sure, just saying this is going to be fun to check out and see what all things this has in store. So this is our A cover for that. We also have the Casagrande variant. We have the Jan Bazaldua variant. Love
really like that
one
one.
with Echo.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the Zoo Orzu variant as well. Very David Mack feeling.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so next is Golgotha Motor Mountain. This one sounds really crazy.
Yeah, I didn't even notice this one when we did the other show, and then I saw this and here. I was like, oh wow, this is some Mad Max stuff.
Yeah, so this it's written by Matthew Ehrman and Lonnie Nadler, and the art is by Robbie Rodriguez, and it's described as a high-octane redneck motor massacre. So basically, this book is about there's a passing meteor. A chunk of it breaks off and smashes into the meth lab of Elwood and Vernon Damage, or it's spelled like D-A-M-N-A-N-G, so I don't know if it's damage or damnage. But they are in a place called Golgotha Knob, Kentucky. And it turns their lives into a redneck body horror nightmare.
I've seen that in the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah. So it goes on to say that mutations or not, no, regardless of what happens to them, they've still got to make their deliveries of meth to their buyers. But they're going to run afoul of crazed addicts, cannibal police, and mutated neo-Nazis. So this sounds like a trauma film.
It's very trauma.
Yeah, this sounds like something you would find in Toxic Avenger or something like that. So it sounds bonkers. There are a few preview pages on previewsworld.com if you want to go take a peek and see what it looks like. It doesn't show a whole lot, though, of like what you see on the cover. You don't really see any craziness like that. It's just sort of the first few pages. But it sounds bonkers. It sounds like a really fun, good time. You're talking about, especially when you're talking about body horror and cannibal police. I mean, it sounds gruesome.
Yeah.
Probably don't let kids read this one. But it sounds super fun as well.
And the art by Robbie Rodriguez, who was your original artist on Spider-Gwen. When your original Spider-Gwen run, one of the original artists for that, so very cool.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're wearing helmets, but I don't know if that's helmets or they're mutated heads or whatever, but...
Very, like, Borderlands.
Yeah, it sounds super... I guess, and it sounds like this meteor affects more than just them, because if it's raining down over the town, maybe it mutates everybody, I don't know. But yeah, like I said, sounds really fun. So we have our A cover right here, and then we have a B cover by Sismeja.
Next up, we have a new... I'm guessing this is going to be a mini-series from Dark Horse. This is Helen of Wyndhorn, #1, by your team who brought you Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, Tom King and Bilquis Evely. And I think this sounds really cool. There's a certain genre that's like secrets in a house, like mystical secrets in a house, or
very lock and key.
I love that feel. That's what a lot of like Hellboy kind of has that feeling.
Oh yeah.
But in this, they described it as Conan the Barbarian meets Wizard of Oz.
Sold.
Which automatically, I just want to see drop Conan the Barbarian into the Wizard of Oz,
Yeah.
there's going to be no more flying monkeys at the
Yeah,
end of
I
that
want to
thing.
see Conan with ruby red slippers. Or the silver slippers. They were silver slippers originally, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
and he would just like punch them onto his fist, and but so this is about a pulp writer named C.K. Cole, which gives me a lot of like Robert E. Howard. He was a
Yeah.
pulp writer. She returns to her father's house.
Well, so her father is C.K. Cole.
Oh,
He's
her
the
father is
writer.
C.K. Cole,
Yeah,
right?
and
And
her name is I don't Helen.
Helen Cole, yeah.
It's right there on the.
But her father was kind of a Robert E.
Yeah, oh,
Howard
yeah.
or a Lovecraft or one of your classic pulp writers. Returns to the family home, which is called Wyndhorn, and there she discovers after her father's passing kind of I'm guessing she's going through his old things and kind of stuff, and starts learning secrets hidden in the rooms, the hallways, and in the woods surrounding the house. That it says there dwell legendary adventures that were once locked away in her father's stories. So I don't know if he was kind of the creator of these things, or
If they were his inspiration.
or his inspiration to write these stories.
And what I was wondering is, these things that she experiences, does she really experience them, or are we seeing this as she reads the stories?
Yeah.
She is almost like imagining herself in these stories, and that's what we see. Kind of a like never-ending story, kind of. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, how much of it is actually supernatural or fantasy, and how much is imagination?
Right, right.
I'm not sure, but when you have a team behind it like this, Tom King and Bill Evely, it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be deep.
Yeah.
That's what Tom King brings to all of this.
There were a handful of comic creators on Twitter today talking about they got to read an advanced copy of this, and they said it's phenomenal.
I'm really looking forward to it. It ticks all of my boxes for cool stuff. So you'll get some of the hints of the stuff and what you're going to see in it with some of these variant covers. So this is the A cover, which is Bill Evely, your interior artist. You've also got your Tula Lotay variant. You've got your Chartier variant. Well, I found out she's got a really nice YouTube channel where she goes over art. It's really cool.
Nice. I like her stuff. I love Everlasting's great.
Yeah. We've got our Carnival variant. And this one is super cool. This is the Greg Smallwood variant. And the character that her dad created is Otho the Vanquished. So that's kind of your Conan the Barbarian or your Cole or one of those classic type characters. And I love how this looks like one of those old.
Yeah, it looks like an old novel. The title of the book, Helen of Wyndhorn, it is there on the left side, but just tiny. Yeah. So if you see this in your shop, don't be fooled. It's not like it's this book. Yeah. It's not like another. But yeah, it's got his name on it. It's very meta.
It's very meta.
Yeah, I love that.
An in-world item. Next up, we've got other number ones. Just continue with a bunch of new stuff, starting with
Six Fingers. This is the first of a 5-issue miniseries written by Dan Watters. The art is by Sumit Kumar. What's that, I guess?
6 Fingers.
Or if you do the, it's a thumb's not a finger, so you got,
But then you're missing your thumb.
That's true. It's a mess. So it's about an archaeology student named Johann Vale, who commits a brutal murder using the MO of a notorious serial killer, but he doesn't remember doing it. I don't know if he did it in his sleep. I don't know if it's like a sleepwalking type thing, but he has no idea when, where, how, why he did it, that kind of thing. And then what follows is a deadly cat and mouse game as Johann is going to just try to figure out, why did he do it? What did he do and why and what caused him to do that? But it says each revelation only leads him further into the depths of his own heartbroken soul. So this sounds equal parts crime noir, maybe some supernatural stuff, maybe not, I'm not sure. But just one of those mystery stories. It's one thing, one event happens, and then as you explore deeper into that mystery, it just gets bigger and bigger and more deeper and deeper and darker. So this one sounds really cool. If that's your kind of story, don't miss this one. We have our A cover by LOUGHRIDGE Miller, and then there's a B cover by Campbell and LOUGHRIDGE as well.
I was just rewatching because I never finished it, the first series of True Detective.
Oh yeah,
and it feels a lot like that kind of this starts as a small story and it starts building up and you're like, oh, this is a way bigger deal than we originally thought. Next up, I think this sounds really fun. This
Yeah.
is Elvira meets H.P. Lovecraft #1. It's a new mini-series. All the Elvira books have been a lot of fun. The Elvira in Horrorland, I believe, was the one where she goes through the different movies and interacts with.
Yeah, I remember we spotlighted like issue number 3 or something because she was like a
Uh,
50-foot woman or something. It was like
yeah,
Attack of the 50-Foot Woman.
yeah, super fun. Uh, Captures her sense of humor so well in these. And in this one, of course, it is Elvira meeting the ghost of H.P. Lovecraft, who you can say a lot about him. I'm a big Lovecraft fan, but he did have his, we'll call them quirks.
Mm.
But in this, she has to team up with him to find the last remaining copy of the Necronomicon. And basically to stop these old gods from returning and destroying the world and driving everyone insane. But it sounds like kind of like a buddy cop type thing because it says, will she be able to tolerate him long enough to save the world? So I don't know what kind of stuff Lovecraft is gonna try to pull in this, but seems to be he might be a little hard to work with. So this is our A cover for that. We also have this ball variant, which love it. It's got Cthulhu right on there. Checking out the centerfold in a magazine.
Yeah.
We've got this hack cover, which this one's super cool. And then, of course, the ever popular photo cover. We've got a lot of people who subscribe to all the photo covers.
Next is Giant Size Fantastic Four. So this is another of the giant size line, I guess, of books that Marvel's putting out. The first half of this year, we had Giant Size Miles Morales. Not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, and these are just one shots. New stories, but just contained in this one issue. I don't know if there's one coming out. So we had Miles Morales. I don't know if there's one coming out before this, or this might be the second one that we get. But this one, written by Fabian Nicieza, and the art is by Kreese Lee. And in this one, Namor is imprisoned. So he's imprisoned. So when a new ancient threat emerges out of the sea, the Fantastic Four are the ones that are going to have to respond to that. So that sounds like a lot of fun. And again, one and done story, beginning, middle, and end. But it also has a reprint of Fantastic Four number 33 from back in the 60s by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. I can't remember which one that is specifically, but Namor is in that one. So you get like an old school Silver Age Namor story, and then a new one. I don't know if Namor is going to break out and help them, or if him being imprisoned is their way to get him off the board, so they can then have the Fantastic Four do this stuff. Not sure, but these giant size books are cool because, like I said, they're larger than, thicker than normal, more pages than normal, and you get one story and you're done. So I really like
They're
them.
kind of different than annuals because they're not usually
Right.
written by the main series writer. I think most of these are pretty like continuity adjacent. They're not
You're
like
right.
they're telling their own story type
Yeah,
thing.
like the Miles one had, Venom, Dylan Brock, so
Yeah.
it tied in that way, but it was its own thing.
Yeah.
I read it and it didn't connect to anything else, and it was fine. So there's our A cover by Brian Hitch. We have a Dave Barden Deadly Foes variant, which is a lot of fun, and then there is a Ron Lim variant. I like that one.
Yeah. Next up, we've got The Fog #1. So the classic 1980s movie, actually I think it's 1980
1980,
is
yeah.
when the movie came out, is getting a comic sequel of sorts. So this takes place 40 years after the film. And in the town of Antonio Bay, a lot of the survivors of the original incident that happened in the with the fog and
Mhm.
the ghosts and everything, and some of the descendants of some of those original characters have to come together to stop what sounds like maybe a return of the fog or something, because now Antonio Bay is what was once a small fishing community has turned into a ghost hunting tourist destination. Maybe they're riling up the ghost pirates or something
Yeah.
like that. I don't know, but
That sounds fun to me because my son and I like to watch some various YouTube channels of, various groups of people who do ghost hunting, and
Yeah.
they'll go to like the Conjuring house or whatever, and investigate overnight or something like that. So it sounds like this is that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, it sounds really fun. Maybe Scooby Doo will show up. You never
Right.
know.
There's also the 2005 remake
Yeah.
with Tom Welling, Clark Kent from Smallville.
Yeah.
So that's
Good
pretty cool.
comic connection right
Yeah.
there. But if you're a fan of that, you want to see what happens next, check out The Fog #1. This is by Steve Elkstrom, and art is by Marco Fodera. This is our A cover for that. We also have a Rosado variant and a Martin variant with the lighthouse. And before we get to notable 2s and 3s, I did want to remind you to head over to infinityflux.net where you can pre-order these books we're talking about right now. Super easy if you don't have an account to set one up. Everything you get pre-ordered, you get 10% off of as a thank you from us to you. And just it makes us really happy.
Yeah.
So we would really enjoy if you did that. Also, remember to use the promo code I Love Flux at checkout and get 10% off your first order if it's your first time ordering with us. That also does work along with the other 10% off
Yeah.
from pre-orders. So that's just a more bonus goodness.
Or
right
even if
there.
it's not your first time ordering with us, but your first time using that code.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
true. So just really, really easy there.
Yeah.
And don't forget that's at infinityflux.net. Now, on to notable 2s and 3s, starting with Star Wars THRAWN #2, or THRAWN Alliances #2. And this continues the adaptation of the novel by Timothy Zahn. That issue 1 of this just came out this week. And in this, we have Vader and Thrawn continue to search for the source of a strange disturbance that the Emperor has kind of sent them on this mission. Meanwhile, in the flashback story, we have Thrawn and Anakin looking for Padme, who has gone missing. Really fun series. And if you are interested in Thrawn, or kind of who's going to be one of the big bads in the Mandalorian universe, you'll want to check this one out. But issue 1 was great and really nice to have an adaptation, so you get a lot of the visuals and everything with it. This is our A cover for that. We have our Ken Lashley Black History Month variant with Captain Panaka. And we have a Raza variant as well.
Next is Avengers Twilight #3. Now, #2 has not come out yet. It does come out next week, and we will be talking about #2 on Monday's show, next Monday.
Yep.
But this is #3. And in this one, Captain America attempts to infiltrate the Raft because he's building a new team of well, they call themselves the Defenders because there's already an Avengers in this new future, but they're not great people. Like they're not actual heroes. So he's going to break into the Raft to try to recruit more people to his group. And will he be able to do that before the new Iron Man, which is James Stark, which is the son of Tony Stark and Janet Van Dyne. Can he get whoever he's wanting to get before this new Iron Man comes in and tries to stop him? I thought the first issue was fantastic. It came out a couple weeks ago, and it was really interesting. And the ending made me really want that second issue, so I can't wait to read it here in a few days. But this is the 3rd issue here. So we have our A cover. We have a Daniel Acuna variant, who's your interior artist on the book. There's a Sarah Pacelli Lightning Bolt variant. There is a Tarn Clark variant. And then, if you missed out on the first issue, there is a second print coming. This is by Daniel Acuna. So yeah, if you missed out the first one, maybe you can pick up #2 next week, and then go ahead and order second print of #1, and then get 3 when it comes out. You'll have the whole thing.
Yep. Next up, we've got Cable #2. I really liked issue #1 of Cable because we've got Fabian Nicieza writing Cable, so it feels like your classic version of the character. And in this, we have the classic Cable teamed up with his younger self. Time travel, don't worry about it. And they are kind of on a mission to stop the Neocracy. Neocracy. I have there needs to be an A in there. But they're trying to stop it before it essentially wipes out everything and the mutants and turns them all into this kind of energy beings with no feeling or whatever. And Cable and young Nate Summers have to confront it. But who stands in their way but Grey Goblin? Which is
Grey Gargoyle.
Grey Gargoyle. I mean,
you know, the classic Cable villain, Grey Gargoyle. What?
Yeah, I'm surprised even when he showed up at the end, Cable wasn't like, "Who are you?" Like, You look like somebody that I should be fighting, but
When even is the last time he's been in any comic? He's great, but he's an Iron Man villain, right?
yeah.
So him fighting Cable is weird, but cool.
But
I
it's
love it.
also it's you've got Cable who is like the metal
Uh-huh.
versus the kind of
The
stone,
stone, yeah.
and of course that's his power. So you may see, you know, Cable with a new rock arm or
Oh yeah.
something.
I love it though when heroes and villains who never go up against each other go up
Yeah.
against each other. Like this right here. I love this kind of
Next, I want like Cable versus Venom, or Cable
stuff.
versus
Yeah.
like Green Goblin.
Dude, no, Cable versus Venom, like bring back the 90s and just like put, Wolverine versus Carnage
Yeah.
and yeah, just do it all.
So this is our A cover for that. We also have a Lupacchio X-Men 97 homage cover. We're getting a lot of X-Men 97 stuff, which makes me very excited.
Yep.
And then I love this one.
Yep.
This is the Hildebrand. It's one of my favorite covers of the week, and I know it's a reused card,
Mhm.
but man, that just screams everything I love about 90s
Yep.
X-Men.
Yep.
So very cool one there.
All right, so next is John Constantine Hellblazer, Dead in America, number 2 of 8. Now, you read the first issue. I didn't read it, but you thought it was pretty good. In this one, John heads off to New Orleans, where he enlists the skills of Clarice Sackville to heal the fractured mind of Alec Holland. But in order to do that, it's going to require a drug-induced journey to distant realms that will shake John to his core. Was Alec Holland in the first one?
He was kind of teased. You saw like those orange speech balloons.
Oh, right, yeah.
At the very end, that is kind of how Swamp Thing talks. So.
Yeah. So this isn't my expertise, like all the Sandman universe stuff. Like I'm not super well versed on that, but I know a lot of people around here really like the first issue. So here is the second one. Don't miss it. If you it's Black Label too, so it's a little bit more adult, can be its own thing. We have our A cover right here, and then we have a B cover by Danny.
Next up, we've got Resurrection of Magneto number 2. Number 1 of this was quite a trip as Storm heads into the waiting room, I believe they call it, which is like between life and death for mutants, as she is trying to get Magneto back. But we only saw Magneto right there at the end. And this one sounds really interesting. Magneto, in death, is judging his own life and if he should return to the world. And another thing that I'm not sure when this happened or if we haven't seen it happen yet, but it says that Magneto has a mysterious key called the Deep Key in his possession even after death. And what does that unlock? Kind of what kind of mysteries and what does that unlock? So very interesting thing there. Because part of it's like Storm is trying to get Magneto out of death, but does Magneto even want to, or does he kind of like feel the remorse of what he's done?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but really cool. Interested to check out issue number 2. We also have a Ron Lim X-Men 97 homage cover. Just everybody in their best looks.
All right, so this is Dead X-Men number 2. The first one came out just a couple weeks ago, I think.
No, it's coming out this week.
Oh, okay. I thought it was already out. So the Dead X-Men, I guess I hope that's their team name officially. Come on, Dead X-Men, let's go. Right. But they're going to leap across time and space in a last-ditch effort to prevent catastrophe. But they're not the only ones breaking through the fabric of reality, because there's a cloaked figure that's stalking them from the shadows, and nothing will survive if she reaches her goal. So yeah, we'll be talking about the first issue on Monday. So it's a little hard to get our brain around what this is about without having read the first issue. But come back Monday, we'll tell you what the first issue is all about. But don't miss the second issue if you order the first one.
Yeah, it's also interesting too because the first one's like, oh, who are going to be the Dead X-Men?
Yeah.
Then you get this cover, you're like, well, it's probably them.
Yeah, well, Cannonball, I guess, and I don't really know. Jubilee? Is that Jubilee? Yeah.
Is that Dazzler?
Is that Dazzler?
I think because Dazzler, died in the Hellfire Gala.
Okay.
So. Yeah, you got a few of them there.
There's your team. Yeah, so there's our A cover out there, and then we have a Michelle Bandini, another X-Men 97 homage variant. I like that one.
Everything. If you think of
like
X-Men, like the animated series, you think of Sentinels.
Right.
Because Night of the Sentinels, the first episodes and everything. Next up, we've got cool covers. So, starting with Titans number 8. I'm really excited about this because this is a post-Beast World story.
Yeah.
And because we don't know how Beast World's going to tie up, who is even going to be alive for it? There might be a character missing from this cover. And And the team has been heavily affected by all of the events, and their friendship and their team is basically going up against some of their hardest times because they are facing a new world order, which I have to think has a lot to do with Amanda Waller and the kind of stuff she is creating for them.
Which I think probably really got kicked off with Beast World #5 when the Titans did the thing that they did and Cyborg did the thing that he did, and now it's like, oh no, now the heroes are bad.
Yeah. They just can't have an easy first year.
Right.
We also have this variant. This is the Tirso Cons variant, which doesn't look like I don't know. There's a big red X on that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we have these are the this is the Dan Mora sweater weather cover, which these are fun like winter, but they're all wearing bathing suits.
Yeah, they're not. There's no sweaters there.
No,
they're
no
not wearing
sweaters.
sweaters. All right, next is Superman #11. So this is the next. Well, I'm gonna say the next part of the Old West storyline, but it's not because Superman was already in the Old West. He came back. But right as Superman comes back from the Old West, the Lex Luthor Revenge Squad attacks, and Mr. Graft and Dr. Farm, which are kind of like the two ringleaders of this group of villains that Lex tangled with in the past before Superman ever got to Metropolis, they are going to gather up some of Lex's greatest enemies with the mission of destroying Lex and everything he loves, wiping it all out of Metropolis. And Superman is going to have to fight to save Lex's life. But when Superman learns about Lex's past, will he even want to save Lex? Well, that's a dumb question, of course. I mean, you know, Superman, yeah, he saves everybody. But it'll be interesting to see what it is that he learns, because I feel like we still haven't learned everything there is to know about Lex's time as a young... When he sort of tried to be a hero in Metropolis before Superman showed up. There's more to come, more for us to learn about that. So we're going to learn more here. That's our A cover by Jamal Campbell, and then the D cover is by Ariel Diaz. Oh, this is a sweater weather. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one too. Yeah, that's a
it's a romance novel.
That's a romance novel. Yeah.
And she's got kind of a sweater on.
Mm-hmm.
But about to get cold. Next up, we've got
Batman, really hot.
really hot. Batman Superman World's Finest, issue number 24. This is our conclusion to the Kingdom Come story that's been going on there. And will Superman and Batman have to witness the cataclysmic events that happen on this Earth, or are they doomed to be part of it? So just continues to be great. So much fun stuff with this.
And I thought this is good too, because I was wondering, like, the annual comes out next week. We'll be talking about it on Monday. I thought maybe that was the end of the Kingdom Come storyline, but I guess not, because I think this is maybe.
Yeah, this says the conclusion.
Okay, yeah.
That usually means the end.
Yeah.
This is our A cover, of course, by Dan Mora. Then we also have this Dave Wilkins variant, which just, I love that, like, Batman, the Kingdom Come Batman, who's just basically like strapped to this big suit.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Very clunky. Next is this is Batman #144. This is the conclusion of the Joker Year One storyline. So it's part 3 of that storyline, but also the conclusion. So it ran for 3 issues. This is going to have massive repercussions for the future. The Red Hood gang is on a rampage, and the Joker is the only one who can stop them, which sounds kind of strange. Maybe he's like, hey, you guys are my guys. Cut that out, And can Batman stop a devastating new virus in a future where the Joker looms over him? So, wonder what that's all about.
Yeah.
This is the Raza variant, and then there is an Alan Qua variant as well.
Qua doing a lot of really good work.
That looks like that reminds me of one of the Arkham games when you're up in the rafters doing detective mode.
You're gonna pull them out,
right?
Knock them against that thing. Next up, we've got Catwoman number 62. This is really interesting. So she's still doing that kind of 9 Lives story arc. But in this one, it does say Amanda Waller recruits Catwoman to the Suicide Squad. So, what?
It doesn't seem like something Catwoman would do unless it's like, I'm going to do this just to go undercover.
Well, yeah, and I think it also kind of mentions whether she likes it or not.
Oh, okay.
So, Amanda Waller doesn't need your, she's not going to get back with you, if you want to do it or not.
It's not a request.
Yeah.
It's an order.
So I wonder if this has anything to do with some of the upcoming stuff or with the Dream Team that they're doing. But it sounds really cool.
I'd like to see Catwoman on a Suicide Squad. Yeah. That'd be great.
I don't think she'd be too into the bombs.
True.
And
she'd get that out of there within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
She'd have it disarmed and cut out.
We've got this Takara variant. And I always love these. This is the Fornes covers that they all look like kind of old pulp novel.
Yeah. All right, so this is Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong number 5. It's a 7-issue series altogether, so we're getting near the end here. Now, in this one, the Justice League has regrouped, and they learn about some nefarious plans by both the Legion of Doom and the League of Assassins to use the monsters for evil purposes. We got a little taste of that in the last issue. Lois is going to uncover the truth about the monsters. I don't really know what truth there is other than, hey, they're big monsters from another world. Yeah. But the Justice League also learns of a beacon that is drawing all the creatures to one location. We got a little bit of a tease of that in the last issue too. They're all something is drawing them to one single place, and they're going to find out about that. So it's been a good, fun, action-packed series. This is our B cover by Jock, and then the C cover is by Michael Cho. I love that one.
Yeah.
That's like that makes me think of like old school black and white King Kong movies, and then the DC heroes in that era, more like old school style, like Silver Age or Golden Age even.
Except we've got Nightwing number 111. This is our Dan Mora cover. This is the B cover for that. And in this one, something is wrong with Nightwing. He doesn't know what it is, but it looks like it's going to be up to Batman to help him figure out. It sounds like maybe something medical or mental or
well, in that pirate storyline, that's just how I refer to it. There was at one point where one of the crew of the ship like fell into the ocean, and he went to stand up on the side of the ship to save him, but he's like, I can't jump, I can't do it. And there was another time where he was able to jump, but he was very hesitant. Nightwing's he's an acrobat. He's swinging around the city, so something's wrong with him, and he doesn't know what.
Well, it looks like Batman is gonna push him off a building and say, "Get over it."
And that just punch him in the face. They're just gonna fight until Nightwing's got sense knocked into him.
It sounds really cool though. Plus, there's a backup story set in the 14th century Europe with the son of Grey hunting his parents' killers.
Okay.
So pretty interesting there. I wonder if that's going to tie in with the main story at all, or is this just a whole separate thing?
Yeah, sounds very Elseworldy.
Yeah. So, like I said, this is the Dan Moore cover. We've got our Acuna variant. It's very Valentine's Day. And then we have the Sweater Weather cover, where it's getting cold.
It's getting steamy. That ice is he made that ice melt from being all.
He's just going straight through.
Yeah. All right, so next is Wonder Woman number 6. In this one, Wonder Woman. So number 5 was really cool because it was like the Sovereign getting all their team together, and Wonder Woman was trying to not have a team, but she wound up with one. So in this one, it says that Wonder Woman has defeated every threat that the Sovereign has thrown at her. We saw her defeat the military and stuff like that. So they're going to bring in the biggest guns the DCU has to offer, and we saw some of those guns last issue. And in the backup story, the Super Sons bedtime story goes wrong. So almost every issue's had a backup story with Trinity at various ages with John and Damian like babysitting her. And it sounds like we're getting another one. Those have been really fun too. So we have our A cover right here by Daniel Sampere. There's a Jeff Spokes B cover. And there is a Julian Tedesco C cover. That one's cool.
That's cool. I like that armored look.
Yeah.
Next up, we got G.I. Joe, Real American Hero number 304. Kubert just knocking them out of the park.
Oh, yeah. These are great.
They're so good. And in this one, Don Marino, who was the previous Snake Eyes, is going to be going up against some of those new kind of souped up blue ninjas.
The blue ninjas
that we saw in the previous issue. So it sounds like it's going to be an action-packed issue. We've got our A cover here, and then, of course, like all of them, they've been doing a black and white version as well.
All right, so next is Carnage number 4. This one is going to feature Carnage versus Anti-Venom. Flash Thompson hunts down Cletus Cassidy. Or has Cletus been hunting Flash Thompson this whole time? You have to wait and see. This does not look like either of them. This looks like what is this? This is a Chris Allen Stormbreakers variant, but that looks like
it's kind of that steampunk Spider-Man from the Spider-Verse.
Oh right, that looks really cool. Like where's the miniseries of them?
Yeah, and in the background it's like it kind of looks like BioShock, like a Big Daddy from BioShock, or is that
that's
like
Dr. Octopus?
Doc
right?
Ock?
Yeah, steampunk Doc Ock.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so Carnage number 4 is not going to have any of that, but that's a cool cover
Yeah.
regardless. Yeah.
Next up, we've got Amazing Spider-Man, number 44. This is going to be our conclusion of Gang War, and they say this isn't going the way you think it will. So, I don't know, Spider-Man just explodes at the end or something. I don't know. But this is our Marvel 97 variant by Carlos Gomez.
I do not remember who that purple guy
I
is.
don't remember who that is. I'm not sure. We also have a Martin Peter Parkerverse variant. This one's very classic feeling.
Yeah, I love that one.
And then we have our Darbo Black History Month variant.
Rocket Racer.
Rocket Racer.
We were talking earlier. I want to see Rocket Racer versus Night Thrasher, and just
and skate off.
Yeah, instead of them fighting, they just like they're in a skate competition or something, like Gleaming the Cube or Rad or something from back in the '80s. All right, so next up is Immortal Thor number 7. So we got some interesting information about what's coming up for Thor this week. We got some cool information that it sounds like it may be getting a little meta. That Dario Agger, who is the Minotaur in the comic,
head of
Roxxon, bought the Marvel Comics that exists inside Marvel Comics. And they are going. So Roxxon is going to put out their own comic of Thor, but he's like a big buffoon, basically.
Yeah, he's got a big T on.
He looks very corporate. His hammer says Roxxon on it. So that's going to happen. I want to say like May. I think it's going to be like a one shot where it says Roxxon Comics presents Thor. So this is still kind of leading up to that, and the solicitation is interesting because it says the story of a young Thor facing the tricks of Utgard Loki has been told before. So it's like, everybody knows this story, but the teller was the Skald of Realms, which has been mentioned a couple times in the last couple issues. The tale could twist upon itself, and if Thor falters in the story, could make a new ending. So it sounds like there may be some kind of sorcery or whatever to change the story that's been told before in order to bring out a new outcome. And like I said, it all ties into this very meta, fourth wall breaking.
Marvel Comics has always existed within the Marvel Comics universe. Way back in Fantastic Four did a lot. That's how you had like Stan Lee talk about the Fantastic Four. But they kind of went away from that for a while just because it was such a weird idea. But I really like that they're bringing that idea back.
Yeah. So it sounds really cool. I mean, it's more than just the Minotaur buying the comic company in Marvel Comics. Like they're doing something to change the Thor that we read. Like there's magic involved and stuff. More to come, but we wanted to show you this really cool Beta Ray Bill cover.
My favorite Marvel character.
Yep, this is from Rod Reese. So
just
very
super
cool.
And I think Beta Ray Bill's been in this series a couple of times.
Yeah, he was part of the new Thor Corps where they fought Tornos. In that really cool issue where they had to keep throwing Mjolnir back and forth to each other, or else they'd turn back. That was really fun.
Next up, we've got Punisher number 4. This is the amazing Dan Jurgens Marvel 97 cover. And in this one, who or what is Jigsaw? We saw a bit about that in the last issue. So if you are enjoying this run, don't miss out on this one. Plus, I just love this. It looks like the straight up Punisher that was in Spider-Man the Animated Series or that kind of stuff. So
big old 90s ponytail.
Yep.
Yeah, the last issue, I turned the page and said, something about a Jigsaw organization. I was like, and I literally said, "Oh, okay, you've hooked me."
Yeah, it also talks about what the new Punisher. He kind of finds out what's his role as being the deadliest assassin in the Marvel universe in this issue.
Okay,
maybe kind of coming into his own.
Yeah. All right, so next is White Widow number 4. This is a mini series. I don't know if this is the last. I don't think this is the last issue yet. But in this mini series, ELENA has been sort of battling this organization called Armament. And in this issue, her fight with Armament gets personal when Armament's leader, it turns out, has ties to her past. So, more to come on that. We want to show you this really cool Rose Besh variant.
Rose Besh has been doing a lot. Well, I think some of her earliest covers I noticed were like this, where they're kind of showing off their shoes. There's a Miles
Yeah.
one, there's a Spider-Gwen one, and they're all kind of in roughly this pose. But I think it's cool to continue that kind of theme
Yeah.
for her covers. Next up, we've got Wolverine number 44, and this is part 4 of the Sabretooth War story. I'm gonna be reading the second part coming up this coming week for our show. So I'll know a little bit more about what this confrontation is going to be, because they haven't really met face to face yet in this storyline. But Sabretooth in the last one left quite a big calling card, calling Wolverine out. So I'm interested to see what happens in this. And this is our Salvador LaRocca variant. Next up, we've got graphic novels and more.
Starting with Green Lantern 87 Facsimile Edition. So this is the first appearance of John Stewart. You have this really cool Neil Adams cover. So yeah, if you've never read that before, yeah, check out John Stewart's first appearance. He's got his own series right now.
There's also a blank sketch cover for this and a foil.
Yeah.
But it's kind of pointless to put the foil one on here
Right.
because it looks the same. Next up, we've got Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong number 4, second printing. You can't tell it here, but this is actually a wraparound cover version of it. So I thought that was pretty cool. This is the back side of it with Kong, front side has Godzilla. So if you've been liking these covers, you like this book, you might want to check this one out.
And next is the Creep Show trade paperback volume 2. So collecting issues 1 through 5 of Creep Show volume 2 that just ended not too long ago. It's going to be $14.99. Has my highest recommendation. Creep Show always delivers. Every single issue, every single story is one that makes me say, wow, I cannot believe they did that in a comic book. I can't believe they wrote that, drew that. I'm seeing it. Creep Show's great, and you can get all of them all together.
Next up, we've got Predator versus Wolverine. This is the collected edition of all 4 issues. So if you're kind of waiting for it to be done to read it all at once, this is your chance. This is going to be $19.99 and collects issues 1 through 4 of the Predator versus Wolverine miniseries.
Which was really good.
Which was really good and crazy because I feel like it was just announced.
Right.
And now it's already being collected.
Yeah, this will be a cool trade to have because it, each issue was a different point in time.
Yeah.
And to be able to just like have one book and just read a story all through Wolverine's life as he battles over and over again with the Predator, like that one's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, so this is great. I think it's one of the best kind of property crossover books I've ever read. It's handled really well, so don't miss out on that one. And that is it for Comics from the Future. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to head over to infinityflux.net where you can order these books that we just talked about. Or if you don't have an account with us, it's easy to set up one. It's free. And everything you pre-order, you get 10% off of. So you can't beat that unless we gave it to you for free. But we can't do that. But stay tuned for our show coming up on Monday. We'll be going over some of the biggest books that are coming out next week, so you know what to get when you go to your local comic book store. Remember to like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. We've been posting more on our community channel on YouTube, so go. We've got some quizzes, some polls, just some fun stuff over there. I've been trying to kind of beef up. So just to have more interaction, we try to respond to a lot of the comments over there. And just stay tuned for a lot of fun stuff coming up with our show and our store in the coming year. And I guess until next time, see ya.